again, here for yet another fight card, the third one in the space of a week. We're here for Alistair Overeem against Walt Harris in our main event of the night. Coming off a fairly good card last night. I loved the main event. I loved the performance from Glover Teixeira. Looked like an absolute stone cold killer after that first round and really put it down on Anthony Smith. Just want to say thank you to all the new subs, all the guys that are leaving comments in the drop down box, and just everybody that's giving it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate everybody's support. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, help me grow the channel as much as you can. Got my co-host up there just lying down with me. Like I said, just appreciate the support. Really, I really do appreciate it. So just hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be notified when my videos are on YouTube. So we're going to get through this card here. And we're starting off in the heavyweight division. We've got Rodrigo Nascimento against Don'Tale Mayes. And this is a very kind of low-level heavyweight fight. And I'm not overly sure how I kind of feel on the fight as a whole, because Nascimento, I went and had a look. I think there's 3 fights that I've seen, and there really doesn't seem to be all that much footage out there. Good footage. You've got the contender fight, and then you've got a couple of other bits and pieces. There's one where he's fighting a little guy who is not all that big. So, yeah, Don'Tale Mayes we've seen a little bit more of, because we've obviously seen him in the Dana White Contender Series and so on, and he's had a UFC fight against Cyril Gane, and he got beat up pretty badly in that fight, and ultimately he got taken out very late in the 3rd round when Gane got a submission there. Heel hooked. But we've seen him in the Dana White Contender Series. Nothing really stands out. I think he's more of a striker than anything else. I get really worried about his gas tank. I think his gas tank is really not all that good, and I think that that if he doesn't correct that in the UFC, then that is really going to kind of hurt him kind of going forward in his UFC venture. But in this one here, like I said, Nascimento, there's not a hell of a lot out there on him. From when you see his Dana White Contender Series, and even his ones out in the kind of regional scenes, he's not really even fought that much in the last... I think he's like fought once a year for as much as he's been pro. He's only like 7-0. But he looks to me like a jiu-jitsu guy, that he wants to get there to the ground and be very, very heavy. And I think Don'Tale Mayes will give him the opportunity to kind of do that, because he gets reckless sometimes. He will throw flying knees. He will throw a lot of stuff and put himself in a position where he can be taken down. And that's where I think this fight could kind of go there. But if it stays predominantly on the feet, I haven't really seen all that much from him. So you maybe have to give that to Don'Tale Mayes a little bit. But in that fight, I can't remember the name of the guy who fought in the Contender Series. He didn't look like a kind of full-blown heavyweight. He was a lot smaller. Someone, I can't remember who went for the throw, and they ended up in a position where he was on top. And that's where I think he can win majority of this fight. Like I say, it's going to be in probably my least confident picks, but I'm going to pick Nascimento to... I am going to pick Nascimento to win this via submission. I think that Mayes may start to tire out. I think Nascimento may be able to catch a submission. I do like the fact that he's at American Top Team, and they've been fighting. There's been a few heavyweights, 3 or 4 heavyweights in the last week that have been fighting. So the gym's been going full blast and getting these fighters out there. But I'll pick Nascimento, but I'm really not confident. Darren Elkins against Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr is just fun to watch regardless. He really is. He's a guy that comes forward, doesn't take a back step, but you can see that there's frailties there. He can be knocked out, he can be stopped. I never seen too many people picking Herbert Burns via knockout, and especially that way in the last fight there. But he's a guy who's fought decent guys over there in Russia. Coming in here, he got Herbert Burns, but now he's getting someone in Darren Elkins, who is a very notable guy in the UFC. Been around for a very long time, but he's on a bad losing streak right now. And in all fairness, they're not too bad guys. I mean, Ryan Hall, that was a striking affair, and Ryan Hall was kind of using kicks, keeping his distance, wasn't really throwing too much. There wasn't much between them. Lamas, there was some takedowns in there, but ultimately he ended up getting smashed with some ground and pound. And the Volkanovski one was just one where he was completely outclassed by the guy who's now went on to kind of hold the strap. What I like about what he's done at kind of Alpha Male, they've kind of tailored his striking. His striking's not good, but they've tailored it to kind of his talents, and he lands a fairly decent output, nothing too damaging. But where he really kind of comes to the fore is what he really does is he gets the fight to the ground, and if he can get some top time here, I think that's where he can win majority of this kind of fight. I've already bet Darren Elkins. I bet him at plus 120 last week, I think it was, and I thought that was good there. He's now went to minus 130, so he's been bet into a favourite position. I can see those lines kind of closing up a little bit, but that's where I kind of see him winning this fight. If he can clinch up, make it dirty, Nate Landwehr is going to give him opportunities to take this fight to the ground. I've no doubt about that whatsoever. And if he can do that and accumulate some top time, he might be able to get a submission or something there that's going to just keep the majority of the fight. I think he's going to fight very, very safe here and kind of ride out a decision. But there might be some squirrely moments in there where Nate's landing some punches, and if he doesn't go down, then I think he should come through here and win the fight. So I've got Darren Elkins via decision. Cortney against Romero Borella. This is one that I never really looked into too much, but I am going to go with Borella in this one, and it's kind of referencing the previous fight there where I think top time could become a big kind of place in this fight here, where that she can get the fight there. And I sound drunk or CTA? I don't think so, brother. It's just late at night. I've been up all day, but yeah, nothing wrong with me. Just a wee bit kind of. But Romero Borella, it's hard to feel confident in either side here. I mean, Casey, to me, she's getting a lot older. I think she's moving up to 125 here, so she is. Moving up might kind of help her a little bit, but I'm not too sure when she's on her back. I think she can get put down there and she can spend large parts of the fight down there. That's where I think Borella will want to be, because she will probably look to take the fight there. Montana De La Rosa she really kind of held a lot of top time in that fight last time out. But like I say, I've really not looked into this one all too much with so many fights going on and having other things to do. This is one that fell by the wayside, so you kind of pick and choose your battles. But like I say, this is going to be another one of those fights that goes into a not confident kind of list here. So I'm going to go Romero Borella via kind of smelly decision. Where are we? Mike Davis against Giga Chikadze. I think everybody liked what they saw with Mike Davis last time out. He looked like an absolute stone cold killer, and he absolutely bludgeoned Thomas Gifford to absolute bits. But he's a guy that I've actually liked for a long time. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched the Sodiq Yusuff fight, which I think is actually the best Dana White Contender Series fight there's been. I thought it was a back and forward brawl. There was a lot of big fight, big shots landed in that fight there, and it was just a really blood and guts kind of fight. And doing that with a fighter like Sodiq Yusuff at that time of your career, well, I think it was only 5 or 6 fights he had in his career. That's a big thing. And then he's come into UFC, came in against Gilbert Burns. That's obviously just getting yourself into UFC, completely outclassed against a guy of Burns' caliber. And then he came out and beat Gifford up really badly. A really good technical boxer, really good footwork, picks his shots really well. But you're going to get that against Thomas Gifford, who is open to being hit all day long. And that's ultimately what Mike Davis did. And he just absolutely bludgeoned the guy to bits. Giga Chikadze is a guy, kickboxing background. You've seen him in Glory. Very kind of patient striker, accurate striker. But I think he fades badly. I don't think he's got very good takedown defense. I think that Mike Davis can actually really mix up. I think he can have success on the feet, but ultimately I think he can have some success on the ground, where I think he is very good down there as well. We haven't really predominantly seen too much of that. And Giga, I mean, I thought Jamal Emmers was there to beat that guy a couple of times over in the last fight, but he just didn't use the game plan of taking him down. If you take this guy down, I think he's going to find it hard to get back to his feet. He did against Brandon Davis, where he got back to his feet a couple of times. But I think if Mike Davis gets him down there, I don't think he gets up as much as he did in that previous fight there. So I've got Mike Davis. I've got him via pretty dominant decision. But I did see an Instagram post where he said that he's not trained in a long time and he's had an injury as well. So that's a little bit kind of food for thought in that one. But I'll take Mike Davis for the win regardless. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez against the big mouth Kevin Holland in the middleweight division. I don't know about you guys, but I've completely just fell by the wayside. I'm not trusting Kevin Holland ever again. The thing is, I think he's got some skills, but he's got some major holes in his game that are there to be exploited. I don't know whether Anthony Hernandez is the guy that's going to do it, but I think it's going to be. I think he's going to have opportunities to do it because Kevin Holland does give you a lot of opportunities. I mean, he came out last time, Kevin Holland. He's fought quite a lot since he came into his UFC kind of spot there, but lost to Brandon Allen. He's a guy you can take down and you can find positions on this guy, like the rear naked choke that Brandon Allen found on him. I think he fought a closer fight with D. Shariqua. I didn't think that was a unanimous decision. I think it was a lot closer than that. Jared Mearshart, I actually thought he lost that fight. Yeah, I'm just not sold on Kevin Holland, and he fights stupidly. He fights too close. He gives his opposition the opportunity to win rounds consistently. And someone like Fluffy Hernandez, who he's beat Brandon Allen out there over 5 rounds, if I remember right. Came into the UFC, he's really got into his kind of his wayside now. He's got in there, he's got a win under his name against Jung Park. Not that that's really saying much because he did take some big hits in that one. I think he got cut open, if I remember, off the top of my head. But then he managed to kind of catch an anaconda choke. And this is where I think he can have maybe parts of the fight where he can predominantly win. And that will be where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Hernandez. But again, not super confident because I think on the feet that Kevin Holland can definitely use his long jab, keep him at distance, pop him off. But I think if with the boxing style that Fluffy Hernandez has, he comes in with uppercuts, he might be able to get into clinch positions where he can get a takedown. And Kevin Holland doesn't defend double legs at all. So I'm going to take Anthony Hernandez via decision. Not confident really, but I'm going to take him there. Matt Brown against Miguel Baeza in the welterweight division. When I seen the number on Matt Brown on this fight card, like his betting odds, I think he was plus 175. I was like, oh, that looks quite tasty. I think that's not a bad for a guy like Matt Brown, who you know his blood and guts is going to fight for every second that he's in there and keep coming forward. And then I watched Baeza. I watched his last couple of fights, and I mean the fight against Victor Reyes on the Contender Series. He looked very good, very pinpoint, very accurate with his strikes, but also he dropped Reyes a couple of times, but he also got dropped as well, so he's there to be countered if you can pick the right shots. I'm just not sure that Matt Brown, I know he's got a pressure that he brings to fights, I just don't think it's going to work against someone like Baeza here. Like I said, originally I thought Matt Brown might be live in this spot, but I really don't think so. If he can put his will on Baeza and be leading the kind of dance and things, I think that he could ultimately maybe come through here if he was to keep it close. But I don't like the fact that Matt Brown cannot take body shots. He drops his hands so low because he's so scared to get attacked to the body. I think Baeza, it's got faster, crisper strikes. I think he counters very well. And I think if he stays calm, kind of avoids the blitzes of Matt Brown, then I think that Miguel Baeza can come through here. But you can never rule out someone like Matt Brown because, like I say, he is so blood and guts. It was the fight with Ben Saunders there. He started off a little bit slow, but once he came into it, those vicious elbows really started landing, really started putting it on Ben Saunders, and eventually got him out of there. I think that Miguel Baeza is going to be a little bit tougher nut to crack, but he is still relatively inexperienced in his career. This is a big step up going from Hector Aldana, who he really chopped down with leg kicks in that fight, and when he started to really immobilise Hector Aldana, he was completely out of the fight, and Hector Aldana was throwing some heavy heat in that fight as well. But Baeza stayed quite calm, waited for his opportunity, chopped him down and got him out of there. I'm going to actually go Miguel Baeza via stoppage. I think that he can attack the body, shut him down a little bit, and get a big scalp on by beating Matt Brown. So I'm going to take Miguel Baeza, late round 2 TKO. What's up, guys? I see you guys in the chat there. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Let's see what's your most confident picks. I can see you there. Hope you're all well. Hope you've been enjoying all these fights recently. It's been pretty badass having the UFC back. So yeah, main card time. This is a really good fight. Song Yadong against Marlon Chito Vera. It says at featherweight, but I want to say this is at bantamweight. But who knows? Who knows? With everything being condensed and being on short notice, we don't know how this is going to go. Two guys I like watching a lot. Vera's a guy that I think he is super dangerous. He's one of those killer be killed fighters. He's a finisher, and once he's very dangerous in a lot of aspects with his submissions, but with his long striking. I like his leverage that he throws with his strikes, and he's really good at really planting his lead foot and really delivering some heavy strikes. But I just don't know whether he's going to be the aggressor in this fight where he can push someone like Song Yadong back. I can see Song cutting off the cage here and really just leading the dance and being the pressure guy in this fight. But at all times he has to watch what he's doing, because Vera, like I say, is very dangerous. But this is a massive step up, in my opinion, to what Marlon Vera's been facing recently. I mean, he obviously fought John Lineker, Douglas De Silva, De Andrade, Lineker, and Kelleher, to be fair. He beat Kelleher via armbar, but Kelleher had a beautiful knockout last night, even though I thought he was on his way to kind of lose in that second round, maybe being down 2 rounds, but that's a beautiful knockout. Beat Lineker, which is always a nice name to have in your record, and didn't look out of place there, looked very good in the third round of that fight. But look at his last 5 wins that he's beat. I don't even think, it's only probably one of these guys that's left in the UFC. So Walid Jabourin took him out, came through a couple of really kind of dodgy spots. He got grappled a little bit, got taken down. That's something I'm a little bit worried about. I think Song Yadong can grapple with Chito Vera and take him to the mat. Guido Cannetti didn't look good in that first round either. Came through in the second round, got a rear naked choke. Frankie Saenz, he busted him up pretty badly. Counter shot right down the middle, knocked him out. Nohelan Hernandez, not in the UFC anymore. Andre Ewell really started to kind of break him down late in that fight and then get a finish. This is a big jump, in my opinion, going to Song Yadong, and a lot of people were crying robbery for Song Yadong when he faced Cody Stamann last time out. He was definitely put under a lot of pressure, but I think the draw was actually the right result. When I went back and watched it, I was like, yeah, I actually think that could have been... It was a very close fight, and a draw is not a bad thing. I don't think his record against someone like Cody Stamann, that was a big step up for him there. But where I see Song Yadong, I think he is very crisp with his hands. He puts a game plan together very well. I think he can cut off the cage here and he can stifle Marlon Vera a little bit. I just think this is a little bit too soon for Marlon Vera. But he has been in the UFC for a long time. How long has he been in the UFC for? 6 years this year, November. So that's kind of crazy. He's been around a long time and got himself a fair amount of UFC wins. And you can see the progression through the years of his skill set, moving to, I think he's at Team Oyama. Really good fight camp to come from. And he's definitely getting better. I like Song Yadong in this one. I'm thinking about putting him in a parlay with a couple of different people, so I just need to kind of pick and choose who I'm going to go with. But I've got Song Yadong. I'm going to take him via decision in that one there. Eryk Anders against Krzysztof Jotko. Not got a good read in this fight. I'm seeing a lot of love for Eryk Anders, and I don't know whether it's the betting odds, which are, I want to say, he's plus 140, plus 130, yeah. Plus 135 actually, so there's a lot of love for him. He fights too close for him in fights for me. I think a lot of people are taken in by his last 2 wins. Mamute, who had no right being in the UFC, was one of the worst fighters we've ever had in the UFC. And then Gerard Meerschaert, which I think he was a little bit lucky to kind of come through that fight, but a big power guy. To me, he doesn't seem to have made kind of any real massive improvements. I think he fights so often that he's in between camps. He's just not. He's got no time to really master his craft and get better in any one aspect. So I just see this being really close. I see Jotko, who was a former top 15 guy, who very kind of low output, doesn't really take all that many strikes, Went through a rough spot, obviously, losing to David Branch, Uriah Hall, and getting knocked out by Brad Tavares. But he's really followed that up with 2 solid wins against Barrio and Alan Amadovsky. Not huge names in your resume, but I don't even think both guys are in the UFC anymore. But they're wins nonetheless, and he fights really smart. He timed his takedowns really well. I think that's what he's going to have to do here, but he's going to have to get in the hips of Eryk Anders, and he's a big dude, a burly dude, coming from a football background, so that might be harder to do. But Eryk Anders doesn't really throw all that much offense either, so like I say, I am not overly confident in either guy here, but my pick's going to be Krzysztof Jotko. I've got him via a very close decision. Would it surprise me if Eryk Anders gets this? Not entirely, because I think both guys are going to really fight close here. I don't think anybody's really going to have any... The fight that I totally forgot about was the Tim Williams fight as well against Eryk Anders. I thought he was on his way to losing that one, and then soccer kicks as Tim Williams is getting up, kicks the head clean off him, and wins that fight via knockout in the third there. Like I say, I just think he's petered out a little bit. I don't know whether he's going to get all that much better, Eryk Anders, but I'm going to take Chris Jotko. I'm going to take him via very close. Could be a unanimous decision, could be a split, but I've got him to win that one there. This is the fight I think I'm looking forward to the most out of Yadong song against Vera, but Dan Ige against Edson Barboza is a fight that is obviously very interesting. Dan Ige is getting the step up against a perennial guy at 155, and then you've obviously got Barboza, who's seeking new challenges down at 145. And we all know what Barboza is all about. He's faced the absolute cream of the 155 crop, so he's moving down here. And the kind of big thing that's worrying me, obviously, is just how... I'm very worried about it's a concern, him dropping down to 145, but the pictures that I've seen, he looks like he's in great condition. I was thinking to myself, how does he get from 155 to 145? Because he looks shredded at 155, but how does he make 146 that he'll need to get down there? But it looks like he's on his way to doing that. But I think stylistically this is a good fight for him. I think that I've kind of overlooked Ige a little bit, but you can see fight to fight, he's getting better. Ran through Danny Henry very, very quickly. Beat Kevin Aguilar. Had a couple of spots there where he took some shots, but he mixed up well, got some takedowns. Ultimately outstruck him. Mirsad Bektic was just the more sharper, cleaner, crisper striker. Got taken down a few times there, but scrambled well back to his feet, did all the right things. So he's on the career progression of moving up and facing these top guys. But like I said, I think this is a good stylistic matchup. I think he's got a low stance. I think he can be hit with a lot of low kicks, and that's obviously one of Barboza's biggest strengths, it is that. And this is a step down an opponent for Edson Barboza. I mean, he's been facing top 10 guys, your Habibs, your Fergusons, your Gaethjes, your Felders. Now he's moving into a guy that's not ranked at 145. He wins this one, he's probably going to be ranked though, so he's right outside, maybe in that top 20 range. And he likes to kind of stand and bang as well. He's got that Hawaiian kind of heritage behind him, but he can mix up. He probably could get takedowns, but I also think that Barboza, if he's not depleted from the weight cut, can bounce back to his feet. And when he's on the feet, I do think that he's sharper than what Ige is. But if he doesn't really put a hurting on Ige, then Ige might come into it late. But I have got Edson Barboza. I'm going to keep a very close eye on the weigh-ins tomorrow to see how he looks, whether he looks depleted, whether he looks emaciated. But I've got Edson Barboza. I think he could hurt Dan Ige in some spots. So I might go a late TKO third round, if not a decision, but not super confident in the method how he's going to win that fight. But I do think he can win that fight. Co-main event of the night, we've got Claudia Gadelha against Angela Hill. I like Claudia Gadelha in this one. You don't go from Ariana Carlose to Hannah Cyphers to Luma Lukbunmi and then making a jump into a girl who's pretty much always been in the top 5 in my opinion. Now Hill, to her credit, she's looked better, but again, it's against far less opposition than what Claudia Gadelha is. And Gadelha, to be fair, she looks like she's kind of lost a little bit of a love for the sport a little bit. Watched a couple of interviews earlier this afternoon where she was saying that the fire is back. She just made some kind of bad choices during her camp. She's got that rectified, saying she's been training non-stop even through the whole pandemic and everything. But for me, this is a big jump for Angela Hill going in against the three mentioned people. I like Luke Brunmi. I think she's a good fighter. I think she's going to be a good fighter. But she's very early on in her career, and Angela Hill really just was too quick, too long. She took some shots in that one because Luke Brunmi can get off some rifling shots at times. And she's been able to mix up a little bit with her grappling in that fight there. But I don't think this is going to happen here. I think that Gadelha likes to get in close, likes to get into clinch positions, can get takedowns through that. And you have to remember, just over a year ago, Randa Marcos took Angela Hill down and submitted her. I think that if Randa Marcos can do it, Claudia Gadelha can definitely do it. But I am a little bit kind of hesitant in Gadelha late on in the fight, because if she kind of starts to gas a little bit, then Angela Hill, she will lose a little bit as well, but her output never really stops, it never wanes, so she keeps on coming. But I just like Claudia Gadelha in this one. I think she's more skill for skill, she's a little bit better. I think she hits a little bit more powerful. I think that Hill's more technical, and her footwork's good, and she feints a little bit better. But I think overall, when you clinch wise and getting it to the ground, I think that's a big disparity there. So I've got Claudia Gadelha to win, maybe via submission. I'll take her via submission late round 2. And the main event of the night, we have the Reem, Alistair Overeem against Walt Harris. You guys in the chat, who have you got in the main event? This is what I want to see, because I'm seeing a lot of people pretty heavy on one side. From looking at Twitter throughout the day, looking at some forums, everybody's pretty heavy actually on Walt Harris, which surprised me, because the betting odds right now are Walt Harris is minus 145, Overeem's plus 125, and I'm like, does beating Alexei Oleynik and Sergey Spivak really warrant him being, and he was up to minus 160 earlier on this afternoon, does that warrant him being that big of a favourite? I'm not too sure. First thing I'm going to say, depending on which way I go here, like, I would love to see Walt Harris. In fact, I'm going to come out and say I'm going to pick Alistair Overeem. That's going to be my pick. But honestly, I think just everybody wants to see Walt Harris kind of come in here and get a win after everything that he went through, because that is just heartbreaking. There's a thing on in America tomorrow, a programme where he lost his stepdaughter, which is just harrowing. It's as a dad myself, I could never imagine something like that happening. But when you sit back, you watch fight for fight, both fighters, skill for skill, to me, Alistair Overeem just looks like he has more tools. But he also looks like, I don't know whether he's slowing down a little bit. I thought he looked a little bit slower in the Rosenstruck fight. I know he got knocked out with 10 seconds left in that fight. But I think he was on his way to winning. So it's a hard one there. He definitely, to me, looks like he's lost a step. But technically, he's still all there. I still think he's got power, even though it looks like he didn't really have all that much in the last fight. And then when I look at Walt Harris, what does he really have that's going to really hurt Alistair Overeem? Obviously, he's got big power. Alistair Overeem's not got the best chin. Doesn't really like to engage all that much. And if you can catch him with a nice clean shot, a big, powerful, athletic guy like Harris could do that. But then once it gets out the first round, maybe even the second round, Harris, to me, doesn't throw enough output, and his most signature win is against Andrei Arlovski, who you seen last night that if you fight in a certain way with Arlovski, he can win decisions against you all the time. And ultimately, I thought he lost that fight. He won it, then he got it overturned because he popped for something. If this was to go into a clinch battle, obviously you favour Overeem. If it goes to the ground, obviously you favour Overeem. On the striking, he is the far more technical striker, but speed and power seem to be on the Walt Harris side right now. So ultimately, for me, I think that this kind of gets into the mid part of the fight, and I can see Alistair Overeem maybe starting to take over a little bit. And he's always dangerous with his striking. everywhere. On the feet, in the clinch, on the ground. He's very dangerous. Whether he's lost a little bit of power, whether he's whatever. I just like Alistair Overeem. I think the betting line should be a little bit closer. And maybe, do I think Reem should maybe be the favourite? Probably not. But I think to me it should be a pick'em. So minus 160 to me was a little bit disrespectful on the Harris side. And I have been thinking about betting Alistair Overeem. He is plus 138 over here in the UK. So I don't know whether I'm going to do that. I have to pick my spots a lot better in this card because I absolutely shut the bed last night with my bets. So I need to try and rebound here. I'm going to have the parlay. I'm going to have Darren Elkins, but I think the other ones, maybe it could be Alistair Overeem, or I might pick another one depending what the lines go in the next day or so. But my pick's going to be Alistair Overeem. I'm going to pick him via third round TKO in the mid part there, but obviously I wouldn't begrudge Walt Harris winning this fight no matter what time of the fight it was. So that's my picks for UFC Jacksonville Part 2, UFC Fight Night Jacksonville, whatever they're calling it. We're going to have a break next week. They moved that card to the 30th of May. Looks like they're going to be going back to Vegas. Looks like it's going to be Tyron Woodley against Gilbert Burns in your main event. So, guys in the chat, I really do appreciate everyone that's been viewing in here. If there's any late thumbs up that can be given my way, I'd very much appreciate that. I'm going to try and get the timestamps and everything out a little bit quicker than I did for the last video. I kind of had some things come up and completely forgot about that. Like, comment, subscribe, help grow the channel if we can, guys. And until our next card, which looks like it's going to be Tyron Woodley against Gilbert Burns, all the very, very best. Take care and enjoy the fights when they come around on Saturday.